Hey, Kate, what did you eat last night?
I made a really tasty white chicken chili in my Instant Pot.
Nice.
I created an amalgam recipe that was a combination of an Instant Pot white chicken chili recipe and one from America's Test Kitchen that you do on the stovetop. So I kind of did a combo of ingredients from the two of those, and boy, is it good. And it uses a jar of Frontera brand green salsa, which is
I love Frontera.
The primary seasoning in it, and it is so good. Their green salsa, their salsa verde is so delicious, and it's the primary seasoning. There's a little cumin and a couple other things, but otherwise it couldn't be simpler. It's chicken and stock and that stuff, and then cannellini beans, and it is delicious.
What was the spice level?
Medium.
Okay.
Because you
nice.
didn't add any spice except for the salsa, and the salsa is medium spicy. So it's also reliable, unlike a chili pepper, which you never know how hot that particular pepper is.
Yeah, totally.
So, yeah, it's perfect. It just created a little kick at the back, and it's good with corn chips and cheddar cheese on top.
Nice.
Or
sounds awesome.
Either cheese or avocado. I use one or the other. And then the corn chips really are important for the crunch. And also, there is zero fat in the recipe, so it needs a little fat on top of it for mouthfeel and stuff.
Perfect.
Yeah. How about you? What did you have?
I apparently had 3 different dinners
Okay.
within the span of like 5 hours.
Wow. All right.
It was a tough night. I was going to a memorial service for a friend, and so I was getting ready to head out. And then when my sister learned out what time the service was, she's like, "Why don't you swing by my office and we'll get some? We'll go to a happy hour by my office." So we went to this happy hour, which had really good drinks, and it was an Asian restaurant. So with tons of dumplings, egg rolls, small sushi rolls, that kind of thing. It was really, really good. And I ate so much, and I was completely full. And then I went to the memorial service and sat through the memorial service for about an hour and a half. And then after the memorial service, I didn't know. They basically had food. So they had snacks. They had cookies. They had dips. They had vegetables. They had some spreads. They had cheeses and some other meats and stuff. And I stood there and ate like I had not eaten a thing all night. And then I was going to meet, and then my sister and a friend were going to see a show, which I was originally going to go to, but then I couldn't because of the memorial service. So they were going to go see the show, and we were going to hook up afterwards. So we hook up afterwards, and they hadn't eaten dinner. So we find this restaurant, and we sit down and order. And then I just order this flatbread pizza. And I eat the whole thing.
Oh, Lordy.
As if I had nothing to eat. And it's not like I'm sitting there going, wow, I'm super full. Nope, nothing was registering. No, nothing at all.
As though you had not had 2 entire dinners beforehand.
It was bananas, and it just made me, all this talk we do about being present and being mindful. I'm like, yeah, out the door that went.
Not that night. No, siree.
I didn't understand it, and then by the end I was like, well, you were grieving, so maybe that's why you blocked it all out.
That must be it, Rick.
It couldn't be that I was burying any of my feelings or my emotions. That never happens to me. Hello, and welcome to another episode of You Won't Believe What I Ate Last Night. I'm Rick.
And I'm Kate.
And this is our ongoing conversation about food, health, weight management, and our endeavor to be and stay healthy in a really tasty world.
With love, kindness, and compassion towards ourselves and others.
When you're done with listening to this episode, rate and review us, would you please? Go to your phone. Give us some stars. Give us some thoughts. It really helps people find us. It makes us hot, right, Kate? It makes us very hot.
That's right. And we're interested in all things hot. You know what else is hot? Is our social media stuff. So you can find us on Facebook and on our website, youwon'tbelievewhatIate.com. And you can email us at youwon'tbelievewhatIate@gmail.com.
We're so
hot. And on Instagram.
Yes, on Instagram. We're so hot. You know what we're doing today? We're doing Hot Topics.
That's how hot we are.
So Hot Topics is our version of things that are on our mind that we want to share, we want to talk about, and we want to make sure you're all abuzz with.
That's right. That have to do with, whatever.
Our podcast content. Hey, Kate, here's a question for you. When you go out to get pizza, how would you feel about paying 99 cents for grated cheese and an extra 99 cents for hot peppers on it?
Oh, you mean like the red pepper flakes?
Mm-hmm.
I would not feel good about that.
Me too. So apparently Pizza Hut in California is starting to roll this out.
Hut.
That once you order your pizza, they're going to charge you 99 cents for extra Parmesan and 99 cents for your red pepper flakes.
That is ridiculous. They
Isn't
should
it?
give you at least some for free, and then if you want extra, then they could charge. That's one possibility. Or charge less than that. 99 cents is exorbitant.
Isn't that? I mean,
Yeah.
it just drives me bananas. I remember years ago, I went to a Chinese restaurant and I got my package and then I asked for some extra duck sauce and some extra mustard sauce. And they were like, 10 cents each, please. And they're like, excuse me? You're going to charge me 10 cents for each packet of duck sauce and mustard sauce? When did this start?
Yeah. Who do I call? It's like that place here that charged me 75 cents for the cup of water.
I do remember
That was like
that.
a styrofoam cup of tap water. And so I've never been back. I will not go back because they also didn't tell me they were going to do that. Like, if you're going to charge someone 75 cents for something that's normally free, you should tell them.
Exactly. This goes back to our whole issue with flying, right? This whole thing, like the way, because I know one of your favorite things is when you get charged a bunch of separate charges for your flight stuff. Like
I
Kate,
adore being nickeled and dimed. That's my favorite.
it's her favorite thing.
Just raise the rates. Just put it all in there and let me know what I have to pay. Don't surprise me when I walk in and they're like, oh, your purse will be $35, please. That's ridiculous.
$35. Here's another question for you, Kate. Do you like chocolate?
I do like chocolate.
Do you like bunnies?
Yes.
Do you like to put things together?
Yes, sometimes.
Then you know what's going to be great for you?
What?
Is the new IKEA Easter Bunny.
No. Really?
I kid you not. I just got a head rush because I was laughing so hard at that. I'm getting lightheaded.
Oh my God. Do they have a little tiny chocolate Allen wrench?
And is one part going to be missing or are there going to be extra ears? That's what I want to know.
Do you strap it to the roof of your car?
Yes, and a big box of twine out back, out front. It's a completely chocolate bunny that comes in a flat package. And you take it out and you put it
God.
together.
Do you have to wear special gloves? Like, how do you not melt the chocolate while you're assembling it?
That's a great question. It says it's a chocolate bunny you assemble yourself. Sure.
They say that like that's a good thing.
Exactly.
Because if there's one thing I prefer is more labor in my chocolate.
Exactly. Maybe they're just trying to get you to work off all the calories that
Yeah.
you're going to burn eating the chocolate. And that's the
right.
same thing with their shelves. Oh, putting it together is fun, right? That was their whole selling point many years ago. So it comes in three parts. There's the bunny, then there's some ears that sit on top, and then it sort of sits in a little pedestal that are its legs.
Well, if there's only 3 things to assemble, that's not that bad.
And remember, Kate, you need to get to IKEA quickly because this is only in stores while supplies last.
Oh, well, it's definitely worth a drive out there to see if they have them.
It's a DIY, do it yourself, 3-ounce chocolate bunny, priced at $4.29. And it can be
Well, that's a
used
good
as
price.
eco decoration or eaten right away. Isn't that charming?
I want to know how many people are going to actually assemble that mother
The funny thing is,
versus just eating it.
right? I've gone to IKEA twice in the last month with my friend Emmy because I'm looking for furniture. And so now I'm sure I'll be back there in the next month. You know I'm going to be buying one.
Well, yeah, now you have to and report back. You have to put a picture of it on the website.
I have 2 words for you, Kate. Rob Lowe.
Oh, okay.
He's the spokesman for Atkins. Did you know this?
I have seen a commercial with Rob Lowe trying to pretend like he knows anything about having to deal with like weight loss and stuff. I've seen that, yeah.
Well, listen, I've been saying for years that he's been getting fat. So I'm glad he's finally choosing to do something about it, Kate.
Yeah, thank God.
Yeah, he's the spokesperson for Atkins, and it just drives me bananas. And he says that's sort of been his lifestyle his entire life. And I'm like, really? Has it been? I find it highly dubious. I don't know why.
I remember. Yeah, I do. I remember reading something like back when he was on Parks and Rec, reading some thing about what he ate and stuff like that. And I think I seem to remember that he was just a health nut and that maybe a vegan or something. But I think I might just be making that up completely.
Okay. All right.
Maybe that was his character. I think that's what I'm doing. I think that was his character on Parks and Rec. I think that's what happened.
Are you saying it might be hard to separate an actual actor from the personality they portray because they might be way too similar?
It's possible I have succumbed to that. Yeah.
Hey, listen, I thought this was really great news. For any of you interested in the Me Too movement, I think this is a really important thing. So we had heard many, like a year ago now, I think, that Mario Batali, was in charge of a lot of restaurants, right? He has Italy, and he's part of this huge chain with the Bastianich family, like Lydia Bastianich's family, and they have a big group. And he had a lot of women come out, against him, and he basically was removed very quickly. So the good news is, Mario Batali's 20-year partnership with the Bastianich family is officially over now.
Oh,
isn't this interesting?
Interesting, because we like the Bastianich restaurants.
Yes, totally. And I feel like I can now go back to Italy. The New York Times reported Wednesday the family bought out Batali's shares in the Batali and Bastianich Hospitality Group and took over his financial stake in the company. The divestment comes more than a year after several women came forward accusing Batali of sexual misconduct and harassment that spanned decades. Isn't that
the other thing that is very interesting? The other thing that I blame Mario Batali for is that he is supposedly responsible in large part for why restaurant dining rooms are so loud.
What?
He was one of the first people to make sort of finer dining restaurants really loud.
Really?
And the story I read was that they had all this fun music playing in the kitchen, and then one time it was slow, and so he played the music out in the restaurant as well, or something like that, and people loved it, and it made it seem more happening and fun. And so it started this whole trend of making dining rooms unbearably loud.
That is fascinating. I had no idea.
Yeah. And didn't Batali also have lawsuits around like wage theft?
He did. Yeah, that was something we talked very on about our podcast. Yeah. Because
it's a shame.
Even though you were tipping all of his servers in his restaurants, they weren't always getting the tip that they put on the bill. And then also, even if they were entitled to wages or tips, he just wasn't paying them, and he could get away with it for years.
Yeah, and I think they were found guilty. I think, didn't Bastianich, though, also get busted on that?
Yeah, and they reached a settlement, too. And apparently after that, he did a lot to help, raise, the reliability of wages and tips getting to his employees in his restaurants, I guess. Or within in the industry nationwide. Yeah.
Good.
So they're saying that... so the whole new group, it was called B&B Group, so I think it's all going to be reconstructed with the Bastianiches. So
it's just going to be B Group now.
Yeah, yes, that's very exciting, isn't it?
Yes,
it made me very, very happy.
Yeah, well, I wonder who runs Italy now, because I always think of that as being his baby, but maybe it's him and partners, I guess.
Right, totally.
Yeah. All right, good. Hey, Rick, I wanted to know how you've been doing with your fish intake since we talked about it recently in our episode about fish.
Kate, not well at all. Because we talked on there how doing all the research for the fish, and when we really talk about what magical creatures they really are, I was going to find it really hard to start eating fish or to keep eating fish. And it's true. I simply can't do it. I've tried many times to order when I've been out, and I can't because now I see them as these amazing creatures.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because we had talked about on that episode how about this whole idea that somehow fish were never in the cute category for animals, so it was easier to eat them for me. And I've always had that rationale. And now, there you go.
And now that you know that they communicate by rattling their bones, it's all over.
You're telling me this again, and I'm getting shivers again.
I know. That was my favorite piece of information from the whole show.
That was really the best, wasn't it?
Yeah. Well, okay. Bummer in terms of your flexibility of ordering in restaurants, but good for you for honoring your heart.
All right, I will keep you posted, people. But it's a good, but it's also tough.
Right. And does this extrapolate to other seafood as well, or just fish?
That's a great question. It definitely, because you know what? It's been extrapolating itself to definitely shrimp. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I'll have to see how crabs do when the summer comes around.
Crab, lobster.
I'll have to see how lobster does when my office party comes around, because that's the only time I get it is once a year when someone else is paying for it.
Yeah, totally. Octopus.
Oh, I used to love octopus. That's going to be interesting. But yeah, I'm assuming.
And you like clams, right? Don't you like clams?
Yeah.
Is that you?
I really,
Mussels, clams? No.
Yeah, in a rare moment, I'll eat them. Like I tend to eat them when I travel, when I'm in places that it's really well known for. But for the most part, they've really fallen away.
Yeah. All right. Well, good. Thanks for the update. I am also still not eating fish. Thank you for asking.
And how's that been for you, Kate?
It's been good.
Have you been negotiating?
Not a challenge at all. Yeah, no. I feel really good about it.
What I like about you, your resolve strong.
That's right.
So here's a question, Kate. When you have French fries, what is your preferred dipping sauce?
Definitely. Ideally, I would like to have ketchup and like a garlic aioli mayonnaise-y type thing. Sometimes I will add mustard if I'm trying to stay away from the sugary, fatty things.
All right. Do you remember last year we talked about Mayochup?
Oh, and malt vinegar. I love malt vinegar.
Oh, I've never liked malt vinegar on them. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you remember last year on the podcast at some point we talked about Mayochup when that came out? The bottle?
Wait, about what now? I didn't catch the word.
Mayochup?
I just wanted you to say it again.
Oh, God. I thought you were serious.
That's because I'm a good actor.
You're so good.
I'm very talented. Yes, Mayochup.
Did you ever try it?
No.
Well, here's what I want you to do, Kate, because this is breaking news. I need you to go to the store.
Okay.
I want you to get Mayochup, which came out last year, and what's coming out this year, which is Mayoq and Mayo Must. Now, Mayoq, as you may be able to put together, can you tell me what 2 ingredients are in that, Kate?
Mayonnaise and, well, obviously I'm guessing barbecue sauce.
Oh,
right?
my God. You're not only are you an actress, but you're so smart.
Oh, I'm the whole package.
Not just another pretty face, you are.
That's right. That's right.
Now,
Oh
let's
my
break
God.
down Mayo Must.
So is it like, I'm assuming it's yellow mustard or is it Dijon? What kind of mustard is the Mayo Must? Do we know?
It says Mayo Must, and below it, it just says saucy sauce.
It says saucy sauce?
Saucy sauce. Oh, it says it under Mayoq too. Mayoq and Mayo Must. Saucy sauce.
Who is naming these?
It doesn't say...
Everybody was just high eating French fries. I mean, like, okay, but... Not that there's anything wrong with that.
They're in those wonderful squirt bottles. It looks like, I'm going to say it looks a little bit like Dijon mustard, just from the color. But it doesn't say.
Why would anybody buy this at home instead of just mixing them themselves? That's the thing that I don't understand.
I agree with you, Kate. And here's the thing. When I do love a good ketchup and mayo, I do love a good mayo and barbecue sauce and mayo and mustard, but I don't like them mixed.
No.
I want to taste each individual one on the fry together. Do you know what I mean? And I like them to mix in my mouth.
Yes, exactly. And I don't even necessarily want them on the same fry.
Whoa, really?
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. I definitely have them on all the same fry. That's interesting. Listen, how long have we been friends now, Kate? We're going on 30 years.
Yeah.
Over 30 years.
Over 30 years. Oh, my God.
I know, right? And I'm just learning this about you.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy. And I didn't even discover mayonnaise on fries until, well, it was probably college.
Yeah, probably college. I think mine was after college. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you remember that place, Jerry's Pizza?
Yes.
And that we'd always get pizza and French fries?
Yes.
The steak fries? Yeah. And it was super cheap and delicious and terrible.
They had, those steak fries were so good, and they had the $3.99 pizza. And I had this would always have this huge break on Tuesdays and Thursdays from when we were done classes, and then we had to be back for rehearsal. I would be done at like 1, have to be back at like 6. So my sister lived like 15 minutes away. I would go pick up the $3.99 pizza and the fries and the ketchup. I would go to her apartment, eat the whole pizza, eat all the fries, collapse into a coma, and then get up and somehow come back and be functional.
Ah, youth.
I mean, $7-8 for that much food. That was
I
good
know.
times.
I used to go with Liz, and we would just stay there. But yeah, she was my Jerry's buddy, I think.
Hi, Liz.
Yeah. So yeah, Yeah, I mean, I have gone the ketchup and mayonnaise route at the same time, but yeah, I like the options to mix or not mix, and then the proportion is very important. So I do not want any of those other
To
things.
mix
you
or not
said.
to mix? That is the question.
Yes.
So this is an interesting report that came out at the end of February, early March. Now, I want you to hold on to your seat.
All right.
After 30 years of fast food, there's greater variety, but more salt, larger portions, and added calories than ever before.
Get out.
No, Kate. Isn't this shocking? I mean, people, we're bringing you the breaking news. So they're saying that even though all these fast food menus have healthier options, more healthier options than ever before, all of the regular stuff that they've had on the menu for years have actually gone up in calories and have actually gone up in sodium. While the variety of entree, sides, dessert options soared by 226%, newer discontinued items tended to be less healthy than those available through the study period. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah. Well, I remember like it used to just be a burger, and then the giant option was like the quarter pounder with cheese. Like that was the big option. And now they have double quarter pounders
Oh, my God.
and stuff like that. And now they're putting bacon on them. And yeah,
Now,
I
stick,
guess.
stick with
we
me on
acclimate.
this. It's almost as if when they tried to make us healthier, they were actually making it harder to be healthier at the same time. Isn't that interesting? Think about it. Don't respond right away.
I'm going to jot that down and give it a think.
See, your pretty looks and your smart brain. Look what it's
That's
getting you.
right. And you know that all ties into that whole addictive thing that we've talked about is that, you know, you're always chasing the high of the first bite. So eating all of it is pointless. And yet we feel like we need to.
Yes, totally. I love that point Cappy made on our podcast when he was a guest. Cappy is the host of Beyond the Plate, and he was on our podcast recently, and he just talked about going to a steak restaurant and why we want to go there and have a steak, because the steak's going to taste the same after like 15 bites. And it's so true.
Yeah, although I would still like a good steak. But I think Cappy gets more good steaks than I do. So it's easy for him to.
Totally. You know he does.
Yeah.
Like, oh, Cappy's here. Cappy's here. Cappy's here. Do you use a slow cooker anymore? I know you have your Instant Pot.
I do not. I gave away my slow cooker to my friend Cheryl, my crock pot, when I got the Instant Pot because theoretically it has a slow cooker function. But unfortunately, the one downside of the Instant Pot is that the slow cooker function doesn't work very well.
Really?
Yeah, so
Do we know
you have
why?
to leave things in there. No, the nature of its heating. It just, if you put it in for the same amount of time as you would in a crock pot and you put it in the Instant Pot on its slow cooker setting, which is supposed to, you know, mimic a crock pot, it won't be done.
Interesting.
Yeah, so I have to say I haven't missed it. I don't have a slow cooker lifestyle really. I very rarely I'm here in the morning and want to throw something and leave it all day and then come home. So it wasn't so relevant for me. So no. How about you?
I used to, not so much anymore. I used to a couple years ago. So I think it's really great news that you're not doing it so much anymore, Kate, because we have more bad news from Utah regarding the slow cooker.
Oh no.
Yeah. A Layton, Utah woman is warning slow cooker owners after she said her slow cooker exploded and left her in the hospital for days with second-degree burns.
Slow cooker, not pressure cooker?
You heard me.
That is surprising.
I don't know why I'm laughing, but yes, slow cooker. It's terrible. She says she plugged in her
Exploded.
Hamilton Beach slow cooker with a locking lid, just like any other night on Friday. She said she's owned the slow cooker for about 5 years and received it secondhand. She's used it once a week with no issues for like 5 years. And then she said, as broth for homemade chicken pot pie bubbled away, she said it exploded with a boom as she happened to be reaching into the cupboard above it. Isn't that terrible?
Wow.
She said steam and sizzling liquid drenched her chest, neck, and arms. It blew up on me. I flew backwards, and I actually fell backwards over a chair, screaming because I knew I had some serious burns.
Oh,
I
no.
know, right? So this is just a good old lesson to, whenever you work with any piece of equipment, make sure you read the instructions.
Well, first of all, I've never had a slow cooker with a locking lid, so that's a little strange.
I have
don't
one.
understand. Really?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't understand how a slow cooker could build up enough pressure to explode. That's what the part that's strange to me.
Well, here's what I'll tell you. She set out to figure out why the slow cooker exploded and said they realized it was from the locking lid.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah.
Right? They said their slow cooker didn't come with a manual, and they thought it was meant to be locked while cooking, with steam releasing out of the 2 vent holes. They said there aren't any warnings on the slow cooker about the locks. Isn't this interesting? They say that's how they've been using it for half a decade. It looks like it's designed to be on and have it steam out, but it's not, she said. They learned the locks are only meant for transporting the slow cooker.
Wow.
When your food's in it. No idea.
Wow. Well, that does make sense. Because mine would bubble and sometimes water would come out a little bit. So I get, fascinating.
So don't lock your slow cookers, people. Because I never
Don't
read
lock
my
your-
instruction manual and I locked mine.
That is a very important public service announcement.
Thank you, Kate.
Yeah, because really, I didn't even know they came with locking lids, but I would probably have locked it too.
Yeah.
And then, the slow cooker people already have enough trouble since the whole This Is Us debacle.
Oh, God. Oh, my God. Totally, Kate. You have to tell our viewers in case they don't watch This Is Us.
Well, Jack
Our listeners.
Pearson died as a result of a fire that was set from a frayed cord on a slow cooker catching fire. Because that's always been the myth is you can't leave a slow cooker on. It's going to catch fire. And, of course, that's really not the case. And the crockpot people had to, get an apology, didn't they, from This Is Us?
Oh,
And
my
the writers
God. I think you're right.
I believe there was a whole drama about it because they're like, hey, this is really bad for our business. We don't want people to think this is true. And then the writers had to be like, this is not a thing. It was dramatic.
It was fabricated.
Mm-hmm. And speaking of Utah, this has nothing to do with our actual podcast content, but I feel the need to share since you just brought up the slow cooker in Utah, that apparently there's now a new law in Utah where fornication is no longer illegal.
Oh, really? Shwoo.
Fornication is legal in Utah as of this week. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So, what you do with your crock pots is now your own business.
I was worried how that fornication thing was going to work out.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, God. Have you ever been to a pay what you can restaurant?
No.
Yeah, so I've been reading a lot about these, and they've been popping up, and Panera had launched one last year as basically you come and you go and you pay what you can. But the sad part is it's closing because it really just wasn't sustainable, unfortunately. So I know, isn't that a bummer? But it led me to this other, and this is an article I found on the Food Network, basically that there are some pay what you can restaurants around the world. And I thought, isn't this an interesting idea? I wonder I would always love to know what people would actually pay if they really would pay what they normally would pay when they go out. Because this article lists 6 or 7 that are around the world, and there's one called the Same Cafe in Denver, Colorado. There's the Soul Kitchen in Red Bank, New Jersey, and then there's a couple more. There's one in Amsterdam, Vienna, and I think there's one in Australia. But isn't that a lovely idea? This rage it seems like a new wave that's happening as far as a pay what you can restaurant.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I would think that in order for that to balance out, and I might be wrong about this, but with the assumption being that some people would pay less than the value of the food and labor and rent and real estate and all the other things, than napkins and whatnot that go into that other people would have to overpay in order to balance that so that the place could stay open. And I wonder if people would,
Yeah, I was going to say they would overpay, but I'm wondering if the restaurant, if the people underpay because they have to financially, and then if a lot of other people just paid what they might normally pay, if somehow the restaurant might not be willing to take or earn that 35% profit at all, that it just becomes this weird thing, that's just there to have people for people who can't afford to eat out to be able to eat out and have an experience. It'd be very altruistic and very noble of them.
Yeah, but my understanding is a lot of restaurants aren't anywhere near a 35% profit.
No, I think that's on the high end. Yeah.
I think the challenge is how could they stay afloat, if people aren't overpaying to balance the people who are underpaying.
Yeah.
Because the profit margin is often so low in a restaurant. That's really interesting. But I wonder if they could get donations, though, and stuff like that.
Totally. And I really think, because I hope people would go with the idea that a pay what you can restaurant is really for people that can't afford to dine out. And then if you're going to go to a pay what you can restaurant, you pay what you normally should, would be my motto.
Well, yeah. But then are you going to go to a pay what you can and pay more than you normally would? That's the question, you know?
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I would. I'd definitely throw down the extra change to round things out and up.
I've been to theater productions that are pay what you can.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I usually pay the normal ticket price.
Yeah, I would agree with you.
But I don't pay more than that.
Yeah. When I've gone to pay what you can theater, I've definitely I've gotten really close to the actual price most of the time. Do you know anyone doing the keto diet?
I think like a lot of people, yeah.
I can't believe the rage it is. The statistics on how popular this diet is so amazing. I feel like everyone's doing it and everyone's having a lot of success about it or with it. Would you ever consider doing it?
Well, I think there's an awful lot of that. I always feel like that's probably one of the closest diets to the way I instinctively eat when I'm eating healthily anyway. But there's something you're not allowed to have on it, like grains or something, isn't it?
Yeah,
Like there's
no
one
grains.
thing that you can't have on it that I absolutely refuse to not have, and I think it's silly for me to not have them. And so no, I would not consider cutting out grains. And as we've talked about before, I would never do anything long term that cuts out any single food group, really.
Right.
Entirely.
Because we've always talked about how that doesn't really generate long-term success.
Yeah, and I don't think I have issues with grain. I think my body responds really well to good, healthy grain.
Mine too. Mm-hmm. The other diet I was reading, which was really huge, is the Whole30. Do you know anything about the Whole30 diet?
A little bit.
Yeah, and it's
also sounds reasonable.
Yeah,
for 30 days.
And they say it's a spin-off of the paleo diet, and is the brainchild of Melissa Hartwig and her ex-husband Dallas, who developed the Whole90 in 2009.
But it was too big a commitment, so they had to drop it down to the Whole30.
So he was really sick, so he eliminated all the stuff and then brought it back in to see where, the inflammation was coming from. And it sounds so, and this is another diet, because the statistics on the amount of people doing this and how big it is on social media is really astounding. So it seems like between the keto diet, the paleo diet, and the Whole30 diet, I feel like the whole world must be on one of these diets at this rate.
Yeah. Now, I have a question about the keto thing. You were telling me, I think this was you, that ketosis is not a permanent state one achieves. It's a temporary state, and it's not something one strives to be in permanently. Is that correct?
Yeah, because basically ketosis is a state of distress on the body. It's putting your body into a state that says, you know what, there's not enough food around, so I need to burn all of the extra fat. And that's why it's so good for weight loss. So, and I learned all about this many years ago because I was on this thing with our friend. Oh, you remember Megan Richardson from University of Maryland? We did this, I think it's called Lean Bodies Diet. And he got you into ketosis, but you're only meant to stay in ketosis for about 3 days. And then you come out of it. And then you go back into it. Because ketosis is shown to damage the liver when the liver is exposed to ketosis for extended periods of time. Now, a lot of the things I was reading about the keto diet is that you get into ketosis, but then you come out of it a little bit by adding more back in, I believe, the carb stuff, and then you get into sort of what's called moderate ketosis, and somehow that's where they're trying to keep people, I guess, in a more moderate ketosis state.
Okay,
yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I don't fully understand that. I think that's something I need to look more into, because I think that the intermittent fasting, which you and I are going to talk about in more length at some point here, that I have been exploring, has some similarities to that, and it does invoke ketosis in some way.
Right.
And I don't fully understand how that works.
So if anyone has any opinions on the Whole30, the paleo, or the keto, let us know if you're doing it. Let us know your thoughts. We're always interested in the feedback from people going on these diets. Because when they say so much of social media is being consumed with all of these diets, it's astounding.
Well, Lord knows my feed is, but I always assume that's because those are the posts I interact with, and so that's what they show me more of,
Right.
Whole30 is just a 30-day thing, right? It's not a lifestyle. That's what it means, right? You eat these whole foods for 30 days. So it's it's supposed to be like a reset.
Yes,
and
exactly.
I think it's probably excellent for that. And so it's like a cleanse. It's very much like any of the cleanses that I've always done and found to be successful. So I think that's probably great.
And they say,
and I'm fine with doing something really strict for a short term. It's just not a lifestyle, unlike paleo and keto, which are supposed to be forever. Right?
Yeah. And they say the Whole30 people are taking it to the extreme. What are the chances that they do the Whole30, but then they stay there, that they're just staying on the diet?
Well, Whole30 doesn't cut anything out, does it?
Yeah. So Whole30, it says...
Maybe no sugar. Maybe that's what Whole30 cuts out.
When you're talking about foods on the Whole30, it's super hard. You have to give up dairy, sugar, grains, legumes, and alcohol.
Oh, God, I have that backwards. It cuts everything out.
Yeah, the program, it's a spinoff, as we said, of the paleo. And, hey, did you ever see that movie, Isn't It Romantic, with Rebel Wilson?
No.
Yeah, I did.
You did?
We did.
How have we not talked about this?
Because, Kate, I was saving it for our Hot Topics episode.
Yay!
So if you guys listened to our other Hot Topic episode, we talked about this movie, Isn't It Romantic, which is still out in theaters and probably will be while at the time you're listening to this, or obviously it'll be on, many of your streaming apparatuses. But it was a movie with Rebel Wilson, and she got in trouble because she made this post about how she was so excited and honored to be like the first plus-size actress to ever be the lead of, a rom-com. And of course, everyone shut her down, particularly like Monique and Queen Latifah, because they managed just to sort of whitewash all the black women that have had leads.
What you mean is you're the first white woman.
Quite, yes. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
So that was what we had talked about on the last show. Rebel Wilson plays this woman who's super smart. She's an architect, works in a firm. Then she's walking home on the subway. She gets mugged, suffers a concussion. She wakes up at the whole new world. Really fancy apartment, really like higher paying job, and all these different friends. And this whole idea that when with this concussion, she sees herself as more attractive. She sees herself as more positive, and that's why all these people are attracted to her. Like, she starts getting the cute guy, the hot guy. So it plays on this myth that, overweight people, that they don't love themselves, and the only way that they can love themselves is by having some, head injury or something that causes them to think about it. So I say this, stick with me on this, because I want your opinion. So I say this because last summer, I don't know if you remember, Amy Schumer did this movie called I Feel Pretty, and where she bonks her head on a stationary bike at SoulCycle and wakes up to a world where she believes she's undeniably gorgeous, despite a baby crying at her supposedly hideous looks. So it's this whole idea that large women in these romantic coms, right? They don't love themselves, and the only way they can see themselves as beautiful is by suffering a head injury. And then eventually, when they get all of their consciousness back, right, that the injury goes away, they've learned to love themselves as they are, Kate. It drives me crazy. So my question to you is this. How real is this idea, do you think? That
a head injury makes you love yourself?
Yes, exactly. You know what I was going for. Like, why is this theme so pervasive is my question. That, overweight people couldn't possibly love themselves, couldn't possibly find themselves attractive. And they have to go through some sense of suffering to discover their real inner beauty. It drives me bananas.
Well, in answer, so you asked me like where I think it comes from. So I'm going to try to genuinely answer where I think it maybe comes from. I think the idea of beauty comes from within, and it's about, so confidence is very attractive, right? And I think that's definitely true. So people who feel confident and feel good about themselves are generally more attractive than people who don't, no matter what they visually look like, right? No matter what their actual appearance is. And so I think that that's the theme that they're trying to use, and they're using a really dramatic way of doing it. So, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like an extreme version of that.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. But I think the idea that anybody who suddenly feels like they're hot and sexy and hot to trot, because I'm 90, and that's... It says hot to trot.
Get your caramel Werther's candy out, Kate.
I told my mother that the Werther's hard caramels were the candy equivalent of keeping a Kleenex shoved up your sleeve. And she's like, I disagree. They're delicious. And I'm like, nobody's arguing that they're not delicious. I'm saying they scream old person.
As she pulls out her tissue and starts to unwrap a candy.
Exactly. But no, I think if somebody feels attractive, and I have had this experience too, that without my body changing, without my appearance changing or my hair or anything else, that when I feel attractive and better about myself and happy and confident, I do draw people to me in a different way than if I don't. So I think that's the theme that they're working with.
Yes. I agree. And I think it's so interesting because what I was going to say is sort of what you just landed on, which is I've gone through many points in my life where I have felt that confidence and then I haven't felt that confidence and it comes and goes.
Yeah.
And I think so I understand that, but this constant idea that's put out there in movies, that's the only sort of way that larger people may discover that part of themselves is so absurd.
Right. Now, yeah, that's the part that I can't in any way justify is why a head injury is required. Well, because it's a comedy, and what else is going to magically, dramatically show you the contrast between the same person with and without confidence?
Right. Totally.
Because who wants to sit through, a year of psychotherapy or whatever it is that actually...
Oh my God, that'd be awesome.
that actually gets somebody to be more confident.
You know what I have to say to you?
What?
Noom. Have you heard of Noom, the new diet plan app?
No.
Listen, Kate, this is huge, people. This app has 45 million users, and it's only been on the market for like months.
Oh,
and you can obviously, it offers, it's a
people are so desperate for anything.
Yeah. So basically, once you download the app, you'll be asked a series of questions about your current weight, your weight or fitness goals, and what your past experiences with dieting and weight loss have been. And on the basis of this information, you're going to receive a 16-week nutrition plan as well as a certified health coach. Health coaches in quotes to help you reach your personal goal.
That's better than certified being in quotes, I guess.
True. You'll be asked to document your fitness activities, food intake, and then obviously because there's so many people on it, there's a community that you can participate in as far as chat groups and pictures and all of this stuff. I just find this so fascinating how huge this is. And they're saying that this is sort of the idea of the Peloton bike where you take classes with people, you're on the bike and you're actually in a class. It's either being hosted live, I think, or it's being hosted online or something. They're saying this whole wave is happening where people want to be in this whole weight loss thing together, which is just so interesting because you and I have talked about that many times, that being in this whole conversation about food, it's a lot easier when you have the support of an entire community.
Yeah, I totally get the community aspect, and I get having people to help you and all of that. Yeah, I've never been an app person when it comes to that. When I was in that phase where I was eating 1,200 calories a day for like a year and I lost all that weight by doing that, even then, and I had friends who kept trying to convince me to use these apps that they were using where you just put in what you're eating and it adds it all up for you. And first of all, I don't want to do that. I don't want to type in what I'm eating into the phone. Like, that's not the way I prefer to maintain it. And also, it was never, right, like, it's never just there. Like, I would have to put in 17 items to, you know what I mean? Like, I have a salad with a bunch of stuff in it. I then have to go and I'm like, well, then there's the carrots and then there's the olive oil and then there's... Forget it, man. And then I would do it in my head because that was a fun challenge for me. So I kept track of my calories, and that was something I was doing at the time, which I don't think I would ever do again. But I just did it in my head mathematically, and it was something I enjoyed, and I get that not everybody does. But entering stuff into an app is not for me.
Seems miserable, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I don't think I could do it either. Well, people, that's the hot topics on our minds today.
Those are hot, hot, hot. You guys, share with us your hot topics. Let us know some things that you would like to hear about. Are there any episodes that you'd like for us to talk about? We love doing these deep dive episodes like fish and cheese, and we've got some ideas for ones that we're going to do coming up. We'd love to hear your input. If there's anything you'd like to hear us discuss, if you have any hot topics you'd like to discuss, anything you want to share with us, any feedback you have about any of the stuff that we talked about today, we would love to have it. Record it on your phone, send it to us, and maybe we'll play it on a future episode.
Rate and review us. Thanks for listening.
Thank you.